can hear me okay. Just give me a confirmation that the audio is working just fine. All right. Okay, well, that is the first good thing. We may need some assistance from some divine intervention. We'll see. You can see by the background, I'm in my dome in the woods in the Oaks. We call it the Hidden Oaks Dome for our Airbnb. And what we found is that I'm using a Wi-Fi, a router from T-Mobile, and we're way back in the woods here, so it's coming out of the sky like a cell signal, but there are times when it is better than otherwise. And for the last 2 days since we've been here, I don't know if there's sunspots going on. I'm just making up some kind of excuse, but it is not working well. It is very, very slow, very laggy. So we'll have some challenges here today, perhaps. We've had that before, but that's just kind of the way it is. And I don't know. I'm going to be checking into trying to find if there's any stronger options in this. We'll have to see, because, and not that it's germane or even significant in any way, shape to you, but just because it may impact things. We are moving. My wife and I are moving from out of Seattle for after having been there. Gosh, I've lived there as a permanent residence for many, 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 many decades. So since I was in 8th grade. But we're moving down here to California. We're actually going to live in this dome for a year or so, maybe a little bit more, while we build our retirement home down here. We live, we're right now, we're on the 10 acres that my daughter and son-in-law have with their kids, our grandkids. And we're going to be building about a half a mile from here on 5 acres that we picked up, and excited about it. It's going to be awesome. We're going to build a house that's, I've never built one like this before. I've never lived in one like this before. It is very unique. The house will be built entirely, 100%, the structure out of styrofoam, with a cement coating, just a very thin 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch skin. And I'm excited about it. It's a kind of a new technology, and it's pretty awesome. We're going to stay in the Seattle area. We're moving out in 15 days, 18 days. On the 15th of July, we move out of our house, and we're going to stay with some friends. They've got an Airbnb, an apartment over top of their garage, and we'll stay there as I finish up a couple of projects in Seattle, and then probably move down here permanently sometime around Thanksgiving. So getting ready to move in 2 weeks has been pretty hectic and chaotic. And we're down here in California because we're having a family reunion. We have 15 grandchildren. We're so blessed, so lucky. It's awesome. And they will all be arriving here over the next 2 days. And so it's exciting. We're going to have ourselves one heck of a fun time on this 10 acres. There's lots of things we can do. And didn't turn my volume off. Sorry about that. Let me do that. There we go. So anyway, we're here for a week on a family reunion, and it's going to be awesome. Awesome, awesome. So welcome out. Let me check one thing before we dive too far in. Okay, we're just about there. All right, well, I am going to do a screen share, and we will get started. And let's see. That the one we want that to show up? There we go. There we go. Or not. Hang on a second. That was open a minute ago. Okay. Our tech support says that the screen sharing is working good, so we're streaming that strong enough, which is great. this. Hang on a second, guys. Let's get this to. All right, there we go. It had a hard time opening up. I've tried it 3 times. This time it worked out. So let's go ahead and just open up these slides. There you go. Now we got a good opening picture there. It says Trading Coaches Playbook. We're screen sharing the right one, Andrew. Yep. All right, here we go. So, okay, guys, here is our schedule, and it always impresses me. I tell you every single time how much effort it takes to build content. Russ, excuse me, Rob does a phenomenal job with that, and totally respect and appreciate that. I hope you guys do too. Hope you do too. Just so much work goes into it. All right. Something coming up here. We got gap trading stats, wealth builder headquarters, proprietary gap statistics calendar or calculator. Guys, this leads into what we're going to be talking about today. There is an amazing amount of benefit that comes with technology. It blesses our lives immeasurably. It also can be a curse. There's a doctor that I listen to periodically up in the Seattle area that's a brilliant guy in terms of holistic aging. He's on cutting edge of all things related to aging medicine. And he said, anything that is strong enough to help you is strong enough to hurt you. And so I see that with technology. And that's part of what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about, at least for a little while, and then we're going to jump into charts because it's called Charting Your Future. Guys, anytime that you've got something that has a powerful potential to do something, whatever it is, in nature, there's always a counterbalance. There's a yin and a yang. There's a left and a right. There's an up and there's a down. And I have never seen anything yet from a technology advancement. We're not seeing the one you just opened. That's because I didn't open it yet. Because I forgot here to do our disclaimer. And it's important that we have to go through this screen. This is the part where we remind you that we're not going to be doing anything today that is going to be construed as advice, direct advice, or hints about any particular trades. Trading has risk, and this is education only. Education only. And so important, very important that we recognize that. Okay? All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the the whiteboard, and I'm going to be doing a little illustrating here, if you will. All right. Here we go. Okay, so yin, yang. This is the famous representation of balance. Dark, light, bitter, sweet, whatever correlation you want to make. I have never seen anything that has any great advantage, great significance that doesn't come with a balance. And this is particularly true with the technology that is ramping up. I marvel when I see people walking around, and I'm going to do a poor representation here of posture. Okay, what is this? Everybody should recognize this. That's kind of a stretch, right? But what this is unintended consequences. Okay. Phone neck, Tripp calls it. Guys, we've had media in our hands for enough years to where there is now actual medical terminology to address this, and then a whole host of issues up here. Because people walk around with the devices in their hand, looking down. They look at them so long, they sit at computer screens looking down with horrible posture. And now we're seeing actual medical conditions with names on it of this issues that are showing up physiologically in the neck, in the back, and then neurologically in the brain. People's attention spans, their ability to solve problems, all kinds of things are coming out as negatives when we look at this screen, whatever the screen is, whether it's your phone or your computer or your laptop, whatever it is. We look at this and we go, wow, this is just, awesome. I can't live without it. Got to have it. And then this is a positive. And then we look at the negatives and we see the balance. We see the yin and the yang. And guys, this is serious. We're raising a generation that can't think properly, can't interact properly, can't solve problems properly, has spatial issues, has hand-eye coordination issues. When you go, well, wait a minute, I see people who are incredibly talented and adept because of their ability to use a joystick. True, but they can't tie their shoes. Okay. Brenda says they can't add without a computer. That's right. That's right. Now, we complicate this with this new interaction of what we generically, euphemistically called AI, artificial intelligence. I read an article, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago. I think maybe a couple of years ago. And this article said essentially that everything that you see in the movies, and this was somebody, a little bit out on the edge on a conspiracy kind of thing, but I think there's probably a lot of truth to it. There has to be some basis of truth to it. And they said everything you see in the movies is because that is futuristic is coming. And the reason it's in the movie is because somewhere somebody's already doing it. They're already experimenting with it, even though it may seem space age and this will never happen. You think back over the last 30 years of things that were way out in the future that are happening now. There's something called Moore's law. I think, is it 2 R's? M-O-R. So you computer guys, tell me what Moore's law is, if I'm recollecting this right. 2 O's. Thank you. I knew there was 2 something there. My bad. So M-O-O-R. Okay, what's Moore's law? Yeah, it's about how fast we double processing speed. So when we can process data, you get to some breakthrough and it doubles. It doubles that. Then the question becomes, how long will it take before that gets doubled? And there is a factor of, I'll just give you an example. If it took 6 years to double, once that doubles, it'll take 3 years to double that again, then 1.5 years to double that, and then 18 months. It's that compression of time in increasing the doubling or the speed compression. Many, many years ago, I had an uncle that lived up in Canada, and he was at a family reunion. He was telling me about this technology that he was investing in, and they were trying to compress video. And at that time, it was very hard to compress video because it was just so laborious and so much data involved in video to compress it. And they were talking about the cutting edge, and it was so fast, and yet it is so painfully slow compared to what we do now. And he was saying that the very best experts in the field said that you could only go a little bit farther than what they had. They were trying to improve it by another 50%, but the technology didn't exist to go any beyond that. Well, guys, we're 20, 50, 30, 40 times faster than that, maybe 100 times faster than that now, and we'll still continue because stuff keeps getting invented and it keeps increasing and cutting the speed at which you can double, triple, quadruple whatever you're doing. Okay, so this is an introduction to something really important I want to teach you today. Okay. There is a process that it's upon us right now that's scary to me. I'm going to diverge just a little bit, and I'll bring this back to trading, but I got to say this, guys. The negative side of the AI revolution really scares me. The fact that AI is so good now that literally you cannot tell the difference of something that is generated by AI if it's coming across your phone or your computer, whether it's real or not. You can't tell the difference. Is that my mother that's calling me? Is that my brother that's calling me? Is that my boss that's calling me and saying that I need to do something? You can put people's faces on somebody else's face digitally. You can duplicate voices or replicate voices to where you literally would not be able to tell the difference. And so the question becomes, how do you tell the difference? And, is this a good thing? Something that can be used for positive in one venue can absolutely be used for negative in the other venue, in the negative side of that yin yang compression. And where is this going? I don't know. It kind of scares me. I will tell you this, that the human brain has approximately 100 billion neurons in it. By the way, down in your gut, you have about the same. It's almost a mirror. 100 billion neuron connections in your brain. That's why we feel in our gut. It's the second brain. It communicates back and forth with your brain in your skull. But this 100 billion has, each one of those has the potential of making approximately 25,000 connections. Okay, when you push this out, it becomes a huge number, an absolutely stunning number. And the computing power of the human brain is not anywhere near its potential. We don't use it. We use all the parts of our brain. Some people used to say errantly that we only use 10% of our brain. That's a number that just kind of impressed people, and a lot of people used it, but it doesn't really mean much. And it's not true. We use basically all of our brain, but we don't use the computing power of it. The computing power of the human brain is so far beyond the capabilities of, or the usability that we're in now, as far as what we use it for now and the way that we use it. It's fractional compared to what it could do. And yet this brain has produced something now that's called AI, artificial intelligence. And I think back of movies that have been representing this future where man creates a computer that becomes self-aware and then takes over humanity. Okay. It's a scary proposition, and there are some people involved in AI that say we're already there, that the technology is there, it just has to be developed, that the ability for AI to become self-aware and take over the world and destroy humanity, it's already here. I'm not sure I believe that, but I believe that it is very dangerous in the wrong hands. And I find it interesting. And the reason I'm gonna tie this back into trading now, okay? When I very first started in the trading world, it was about 1996, 97. Okay. It's hard to believe that it's that long ago, but it was. The technology that existed there was you had to call your broker. There were a few folks who had the audacity to spend enough money on a Palm Pilot variation. And a lot of you don't even know what that is, but a Palm Pilot variation that could generate market signals. It could receive a transmission of some market signals. And boy, that was so cool that people could carry something around in their pocket that they could get quotes. And then eventually you could make a trade, and it just gradually grew from there. But at that time, they were using computers, and there was something that was referred to, and it still is, a black box. So somebody tell me what a black box really briefly, tell me what a black box represents. Yeah, Brenda, you're absolutely right. Barry says there's a movie called Colossus, The Forbidden Project. I haven't seen that one, but I will take a look at that. Trip says buy calls on Cyberdyne. There you go. Brenda says I see more harm than good with this. I get it. Yep, I get it. I get you. Trip says input to output that is masked. Well, that's not what I'm referring to. So maybe I didn't ask the question quite right. A black box when it comes to trading, that was simply an algorithm, a program that would, if you gave it certain signals and inputs, it would then turn around and spit out some generated signal. And so people were experimenting with, can I get a computer to make decisions for me? Can I get a computer to spot trades? Can I get a computer that'll make me make better trades and make more money than doing it by myself? And so people were experimenting with that, and it was early stages. It's only gotten more and more sophisticated. And now there is no end to the options of people out there on the internet that are saying, I have an algo, I have an algorithm, I've got an AI. Now, everybody is using the terminology now. I've got an AI trading program. Well, we've always had AI. That's what an algorithm is. Okay. AI simply takes data and spits back feedback to you. And so now everybody's using the buzzword. Oh, we got an AI generated program. Well, okay, take the AI out of it and go back a couple of years. You get the same thing. Only now it's probably more powerful. Yes, for sure. It can process more information. Okay, processing time and speed, amazing. Okay, it can process so much data. And the bottom line is that this is a concept that has been pursued for many decades. It's not new, okay? But the new buzzword, the AI, with all of the potential that is coming with AI, gives it a little different twist, okay? Now, in the end, you have to be willing to accept the premise that if a human brain can develop an algorithm that has the ability to make more and more sophisticated decisions, and this transition to what we're calling AI, artificial intelligence, which is really nebulous and doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. The question becomes, is the AI going to become smarter than the brain? And I've read a number of articles, and I'd love to have some feedback from you guys, but that becomes the question. Are we developing something that is smarter than we are so that we don't have to do anything? We can just tell it what to do. Oh, wait a minute. If it's smarter than we are, at what point does the servant become the master? That becomes the big question, and it's an ethical one and a practical one for that matter. But when it comes to trading, the question is, are we going to have something that can trade for us, that make all our decisions for us? And I'll tell you what, I totally get the allure to that. There's definitely something to be said about, wow, all I got to do is say, I want to do this kind of trade and find me the ones that have the highest probability. And of those, pick the best two, and away we go. All right. And if it works consistent and makes money consistently, then why bother straining? Right? Why bother working hard at it? Just let the machine do it. Right? Guys, when we go back to the late 90s, that was the same question. If it is that good, then why isn't everybody doing it? Number one. And if it's that good, then why do we have to keep trying to program it? Can it actually be smarter than the creator? And the answer to that is this. It's a yin and yang. It's a yes and no. Yes, no. Can it compute faster than the human brain? It's turning out that yes. Speed, we have reached a point where it can process information and find information faster. Okay. Now, can it make emotional and rational combined decisions and intuition? And at that point, the human still has the advantage. And as I read through this article, there were advantages stacking up over here, and there were still advantages over here, the balance, the yin and the yang. Will it ever become a point where there are no advantages to humans? You just turn it over to AI. And the answer is, I certainly hope not. And I don't believe that that is actually the case, because I don't think you can program that humanity into a machine. Although there are people that are trying that too. They're trying to blend genetic technology together. Okay, human machine interface. They're working on it, and yeah, we've seen movies about it, and so that's means that people have been working on it for a while. Okay, but for me, right now, I see when it comes to trading, I am still not yet at a point where I'm willing to turn everything over to a machine. Have we always had the ability and the inclination to use tools? Sure, but they need to be looked on as tools, not a human 2.0. Okay, I don't see it. Now, could it change? It's possible, I guess. I don't believe it, but it is tempting. And so I say this today because as you chart your future, and we're going to shift over to charting, a little play on words there, you are going to be bombarded constantly by AI. It's going to be in your face. It's going to be everybody using the buzzword. And especially when it comes to trading, guys, for everybody that's been trying to sell some trading process, which has been going on for the decades, the entire time that I've been involved in the market, that's not going to change. It just has a bright new shiny object for everybody to get excited about. And I hope we're friends enough to where if there is one and you stumble on it, and boy, all you got to do is plug your nickel in there and it just starts generating dollars and you never have to think about it. I hope you'll share that with me. Okay, I really do. I really do. I will echo something a little bit that I have heard that I think has so much profoundness to it, and that is, I've seen a wonderful documentary where the people who have been working on AI creators and the tech screen visionaries. Okay, these people who have brought this about, I've seen more than one documentary where the majority of all of the brains that got this started now will not let their kids participate in it, will not let their kids have screen time, except in very controlled situations. Some of them not at all. They were the people that invented this stuff, and they won't let their kids do it. They were at the forefront of it. They have seen the negative, and Brenda says that she thinks that there's more negatives than positives. Guys, a majority of the people who invented this technology will not let their kids and their family participate in it because they're scared of it. They're close enough to it. They see the impact. They see the negative side of it. And whatever benefits are coming out of it, having been there and having been part of the generation of it, the actual inception and creation of it, they're going, no, 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 not going to do it. Not going to do it. And so I leave that with you guys, because you're not going to be able to get away with this, away from it, rather. You're not going to get away from it. This is going to be more and more involved in our life, in our day to day. And we've got to figure out how to deal with it, or it will figure it out for us. It'll just consume you. I don't want my life, or the life of my children and the people that are close to me, be this. Okay. Screen time neck. This slave to a freaking screen. Emotionally disturbed. Okay. Emotionally unstable, physically affected, neurologically impacted in negative ways. And if we don't get a handle on this I potentially could consume and be a huge damage to the human race. Anytime you have something that has this kind of potential, it will draw those who see that first, and they see consequences later on. The unintended consequences is like, oops, did I do that? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sure glad I made a lot of money. Sorry about that, everybody else. Oops, I got a problem now. Wait. How come I got a problem? Right? And it's interesting that these guys who were the creators of it are going, no, I'm out. And I will not let my kids participate in it. Guys, if that's the impact, we should be taking this serious. And all I'm saying is we need to be taking this carefully and seriously. Brenda says, I saw that one too. If our wonderful lawmakers are not working on regulations for AI, it's going to be, well, I really like Elon Musk. I really do. I think that he's close enough to the cutting edge. When he speaks, I have a lot of respect for his perspective. And with regard to AI, he was dragging his heels after he was one of the first developers of it. And then he dug an anchor in, it's going, whoa, I'm backing off. And now he's going, okay, I'm back into it because we can't stop it. But he's saying he's worried that we're already past the point of no return. And so it becomes now survive the best you can. Survive the best you can with it. Again, it's just another example of one of these folks who can see it clearly, more clearly than I can, going, this is a problem. He's saying we're already past that point where it's the Moore's law is kicking in. And the AI development is increasing exponentially. And Brenda says, if lawmakers don't help put a handle on it, it's too late. Musk is going, yeah, it's already too late. And is he right? I don't know. I'm afraid that he might be right. I hope he's not. Okay. Brenda says, why did he get back in again? I just explained that. I just read that, so you probably didn't hear. So, basically he's saying we can't stop it. So he's going to try to utilize it as rationally or as responsibly as he can. But that was his impact. Okay. Jennifer, when are we going through the dot-com phase where internet was born, or when? We heard about it all the time. Now we hear about AI 20 plus times a day. Exactly. Eventually it will be folded in and not a catchword when something else takes over. But I think it'll be a few years. Well, I hope so, Jennifer. I hope there's some time to kind of deal with it. I really do. But I'm not sure. When guys like Musk say it's too late, I'll tell you what, guys, I think every one of us, here's my advice. You need to get real grounded in the things that matter to you, and be careful, because there is so much money involved that it is going to bring out the most brilliant minds in the marketing world to figure out a way to capture you as an audience, to capture you, to get you drawn in, to get you addicted to use the word bluntly, to get you addicted to a service, to a feeling. There is emotions. There is hormones that are generated that attack or attached to the feel-good hormones, all of the five positive pleasure hormones that are being designed into, very specifically, into the use of screens, of the things that you see. TikTok. I mean, you say whatever you want. I enjoy watching the videos on there, and after it doesn't take very long, and I turn it off. I'm going. I can feel myself getting sucked into something that I'll be here for 2 hours and not even know 2 hours went by. That's manipulation. And there's absolutely no question. I mean, if there's any TikTok advocates out there, I would challenge you to your face. I have done enough research. I would tell you right now, this is an evil thing that's behind it. The backing with the Chinese connections with the CCP are real. No matter what they tell you, they are very real, and this is being utilized as a negative, as a weapon, and it is so positively and passionately tied up in pleasure and entertainment that people, you can show them the facts and they go, yeah, and then they flip right back. Yeah, well, that's terrible. And then they flip right back and go, because it's so entertaining. But I mean, guys, if you can't connect with something that will keep you grounded, this stuff is good in terms of doing what it's set out to do. And the people that are doing the generation of it, the people that are behind it, they are extremely good at it. And there is a huge financial incentive there that will draw out and pay for the best and the brightest of the minds to make it even better. I mean, that's just human nature. And now you've got a technology that is going to facilitate that in its most entertaining and negative way imaginable. That's just the facts. Okay, in my opinion. Okay, I'm telling you, it's my format. You guys, you know, it's my format. So I say it, and hopefully not offend anybody, but I'm going to tell you how I see it because I believe it. I really do. All right, so we're going to close the whiteboard. We're going to flip back over to some charts, and we'll do some charting. And again, I truly hope that I didn't offend anybody, but if I did, I simply apologize, but I don't take back anything I said. I believe in it passionately. I've got 15 grandchildren that I'm very, very concerned of how this is impacting them. Very concerned. And I've read enough and seen enough from people that I respect who are involved in it to feel like I'm grounded with good information. And based on that, for me and my house, that's the way we see it. And if I have an opportunity to share that thought with somebody else like you, I'm going to do it. Does it have to do with trading? Yes, it does, because you're going to be enticed. And whether or not there's something out there that is actually will just take off and make money for you, you don't have to think. Just plug in. Boy, if that happens, again, share it with me. Let me know about it. But for many decades now, I have seen this process being played out where all it does is it gets dressed up in finer and finer clothes. But the fact is that I haven't seen anything yet that replaces the human brain ability to learn and to combine rational, emotional, philosophical, structural, intellectual, engineering, all of these processes together with intuition. And I think until that happens, we're going to be trading with good people to help us, teach us tools, and more importantly, to balance risk. The first rule in any trading program, the very first rule, always, the first rule is risk management. It has to be. It has to be. All right. And with that, I will shut up and we will switch over to charts. All right. And I'm going to take the I've just got one small screen today, so I'm going to take the chat off. I'll check it every once in a while. And we will go here. So I got to check it right now, actually, because I want you guys to give me some suggestions. Let me close that down and get the text chat back up here if I can find it. Oh dear. How did I use that? All right, I got to stop the sharing, get the text chat back up here. There we go. Now do the sharing again. Keep it on the same screen. Have a choice. Full screen with that. All right. There we go. All right. So, guys, give me a chart and let's do some charting. Alrighty. First one, SPY. Okay, so when you bring up a chart, guys, I want you to give me a question, a comment, a request. What are you looking for? I mean, obviously, I can just jump in and have fun, but I want to know what you're looking for. Why do we want to look at SPY? Okay. So I'm going to go to a monthly chart first and foremost. And let's go back. Oh boy. Okay. Now I am going to have to be careful because I can overload the system by hitting the keys too fast and asking it to do too much too fast. And this may even not work. If it doesn't work, we'll have a short class. This is where the bandwidth is going to get taxed. All right, are we back to a monthly? Looks like it. Okay. There we go. Okay, so back up just a smidge here. All right, Brenda, I'm looking for some feedback from you for SPX or SPY. Brenda said I put SPY. I put SPY. Jennifer has Amazon, and Jennifer says, "How do we trade the highest highs?" Lots of stocks like that are there now. So, Jennifer, are you saying how do we trade when a stock is at its all-time high, when it's pushed through to an all-time high? Is that your question? Yes. All right. Let's go to Amazon. Oh, very interesting. So we're looking at a monthly chart. If we go to a daily chart, we see that we are at, let me get back here. We're at a bounce point, but we're not at an all-time high with Amazon right now. You can see. So Jennifer, I'm not sure your question because we look back here and then we look where we're at now. Yeah, so this is the daily chart right here. And if I add space to this daily chart, move the text chat out of the way over here in a second. I can see the bottom corner. There we go. Let's see, guys. Okay. Brenda says, or Jennifer says, but when it was hitting high highs, how do we extrapolate what we should do to make it go higher? Oh, okay. Well, one of Ryan's rules is, and this is just a basic charting exercise, and that is, I'm going to give you a guideline for that. There's kind of a rule or a process that follows pretty close, but then I'm going to remind you, Jennifer, that you always look back to the past. So whenever anybody gives you a maxim, well, when this happens, you do this, or when this does, you usually get a 50% move, or whatever it is. You say, okay, that's nice, but does it work on my stock? Always, you say, yeah, but does it work on my stock? You say, that's interesting, but does it work on my stock? Oh, well, I mean, you use this for everything. Really? That's great, but does it work on Amazon? And that is the most important question for you to ask, Jennifer. So if I give you a maxim, you say, okay, that's nice, Ryan, but does it work on Amazon? And then I'll tell you how to find out. Okay. So every time a stock takes out an all-time high, Jennifer, there is typically a target. Okay. There's typically a target for it to shoot to. And I'll show you where that comes from. But I'll also remind you that when it comes to any kind of repetitive motion, there is a tendency to get tired. So when we say patterns happen 3 to 5 times, which is a maxim, patterns happen 3 to 5 times and they break down. It's true that often happens. Does it happen with every stock? No. But does it often happen? Yes. Enough for there to be something to pay attention to? Yeah, I think so. I think so. Trying to just bring up a screen, a whiteboard. Oh, I don't want to go through this garbage. All right. Let's go back here. So, Brenda, when you have a pattern that goes 3 to 5 times, if it's an uptrend, it'll surge big on the first one, then it retraces, right? Then it surges up again, then it retraces. Then it surges up again and it retraces. Usually what you see is that these surges get smaller. It gets less of what's the word? It's less of an exciting thing because it's not a novelty. It's less of a novelty. The stock takes off, everybody gets excited, and then it retraces again. It starts to take off again. Ooh, everybody's excited, but they're not surprised because they already went through the last one. Now, maybe they missed the last one. They want to jump in on this one. That's great. But it's not a surprise because, I mean, they've already seen that. And then it retraces. And then it takes off a third time. Well, you guys, after 2 times, the third one, yeah, this is great, but it's not necessarily a novelty. And there's a bit of a denigration of its significance because it's happened already twice before. Now, can patterns go more than 3 times? Yeah, they do. Maybe 4, rarely 5, but sometimes. Okay. Well, what happens is that each one tends to get a little weaker. All right, that's a maxim. It's a good thing to watch for. Can you trade off of it? Yeah, you can if it works on your stock. Well, how do you know? Well, you have to look back and see when the stock goes into uptrends, how many times does it rotate? Do the rotations get weaker with time? Okay, so I want to point out, and I'll move my cursor, Jennifer. Can you see where the X is? Can you see where the cursor is right here? Say yes, please. Okay, good. Okay, this is the first lift. Okay, you have a gap and then you've got a big push right here. Then it retraces. Then it pushes up again. That's a pretty good push right there. Happened quick, and then it retraced about 50%. Then it pushed up again, and you see we're hitting the same resistance. Boom, 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 and it starts to pull back again. Now, what you're noticing here is the pullbacks are getting smaller and smaller, and you're trading into a wedge. So in this case, you're looking at the first surge, big long push, pull back. Quicker push, pull back, but only half the distance. Half the time, half the distance. Pushes up to the same thing, hits the resistance again, pulls back half the distance. So now the bottoms are coming up, the tops are level. We have a rising wedge, and we come up a fourth time, and we hit and we pull back half the way. So the whole pattern is compressing down into this wedge. It is going to do one of two things. And we always say that it's going to either break out or it's going to go, this hurts my head banging it against the ceiling this hard, this many times. So I'm not going to do that anymore. And it will collapse. And then we look to the left for targets. In this case, it broke out to the upside. So the question becomes, and this is your question, Jennifer, how do you trade this breakout above the all-time high? That's a great question. Is there a target? And the answer is yes. Okay, there is a target. And what we do is we take the distance that it traveled to get there. Okay, on the last rotation, let me pull this up. Push this down just a little bit. On this last rotation to the upside, I'm going to draw a line here. The push to the upside pick that up again. Here we go. The push to the upside, if you can see the arrow, was this far. Okay. The first thing you do is you duplicate that. You take that same distance and you run that same distance to the upside. And that got away from me. There we go. And that's where it went through yesterday. Okay. Now the question becomes, if it's pushed through on the other side the same distance, and usually it's a little less than that. It's that is the target is the same distance. Usually it falls a little bit short of that. And you said today that it's pulled back today. Okay, and I would say that makes sense. This was the push up to the last push to the up to the all-time high. You push through on the other side, you go to the same distance, and then it typically will retrace. It'll pull back. This is a test, Jennifer. It's a test to find out after 1, 2, 3, 4 times failing at this resistance. When you break through on the other side, is there pent-up desire? Is there pent-up buying pressure that will push it up to the next level? If it's just a test, which oftentimes it is, that's what the key traders, your big alpha traders want to know. Is there enough to push this for another leg up? Or have we exhausted all of the buying pressure? If we have, they will short this thing and drive it down. And they would drive it down most likely down to this area, down around 166, because that's where this whole thing started. So if the buyers have been exhausted, if the buying pressure is exhausted, they'll try to collapse this all the way down here to this 166 area, 166 to 170. All right. So this is usually a test. They're testing to see what kind of buying pressure happens on the other side here. And from that, they will determine their next move. Are they going to short it, or are they going to jump in and lead the path forward? They'll jump in and start buying like crazy if they think there's a bunch of people that will follow them. All right. So Jennifer, you have to know that on the other side here, the biggest, best traders out there are wondering the same thing you are. Is this going to take off? Is there going to be buying pressure to support this? If we push across the line, will it trigger another buying spree? And they don't care either way, Jennifer. They just want to know. They want to know. If there is buying pressure that it triggers, great. They'll keep buying. They're already in. And everybody buying will make them a bunch of money. But if it's time to short, they need to know. Well, how do you find out? Well, you push it up there. And if there's not enough support behind the buying push, then they know that it's safe to short it. Okay. Jennifer says, yeah, me too. I want to know. Well, of course you do, but so do they. You just don't have the horsepower to do what they are doing, Jennifer. So the question becomes is, can you be a good little B or C trader and wait to see what the A's figure out? If this thing turns and it crashes back through 190, there's a good chance they're going to take it down all the way. It could go all the way to 166, 170. And they would love to go that far, because if they can take it that far, then it can rally that all the way back up. They can make the money 3 times. They made it up once, they'll make it on the downstroke, and they'll make it on the rebound. That's the triple play for the A traders, the alpha traders. So you just let them play their game. It's not up to you to figure it out, Brenda. That's the cool thing. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to be, and trusting some algorithm to tell you that, I don't think so. Not me. I'll sit back and watch the A traders, because I know that they're looking to see if there's buying pressure. If they can find it, I'll jump in there with them and we'll take another leg up. But I'm going to let them figure it out. And if they don't, and they start to short it and they break back through 190, well, then I'll go negative. I'll go negative. It's not negative. I'll go down with them, down in price. Okay. We'll go bearish. No problem. I don't have any issue with that. Okay. All right, guys. Well, there's our class for the day. We only got one good chart in, but you can get so much information out of one that applies to everything else. We are hitting highs. So how do you play it? Well, you look for the triggers, you look for the pattern. And by the way, and I will give you one other piece here on this, Jennifer, and this is for everybody as well. If we look at this, I'm going to duplicate this long-term trend line. I'm going to lay it up here and find out, because I want to know, are we back into another uptrend that is mirroring the same? Come on, grab it. Ah, come on. Grab the line. There we go. Ramanatli, it's not letting me do it. All right, I'm going to do it another way, but I want to do this. Are we mirroring our long-term angle? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a parallel line and I'm going to slide it up. Now, if we pull back from here, Jennifer, I would say there's more than one reason. All right. If you're breaking an all-time high, you push up to test to see the kind of buying pressure. If you push up to the top of the trading range, which is this is the projected angle of attack, and you hit resistance and it pulls back, I go, bingo. Makes all the sense in the world to me. Now, if we go down below 190, your targets would be these parallel lines. You'd just be knocking them down, looking sideways for support, watching the trend line. But this area down in here, 166, 170 area, I would think that looks real attractive if there's not enough buying pressure. All right. Take care, guys. God bless. Have a good, safe, wonderful 4th of July celebration. And I hope that means something to you. It means a lot to me. I'm a naturalized citizen. I was not born in the United States, but this is my country. I think that this country is special. I really do. Believe that it was guided by providence to become a country. And I believe that if we lose sight of that, that we will lose sight of the protections that have kept this country strong and wonderful, and can continue to be so. But we better not lose track of how we got here. Take care, my friends. God bless, and have yourself a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.